basically go after innovative medicines and go after medicine, and the patients will follow. So basically, our whole purpose is really to do everything we can to build healthier and a more hopeful future for our people everywhere through our medicines and through our products. We have a couple of different areas that we focus on. We are a prescription-based chronic care environment over an OTC. So we don't really have an OTC over-the-counter business. We have three or four main areas that we have been concentrating on, one of which is oncology. Oncology is something that we have been focusing on for the last, I think, 10 years, very, very distinctly, and have made lots of different breakthroughs through that. We have over 400 plus patients who've been treated through our oncology medications over the last 5 years. We have over 1,000 clinical trials, and we have over 30 plus cancers and indications that our medicines are treating right now. So as you can tell, we have been taking cancer very seriously and very, very much been going after doing what we can to reduce, eradicate, and really take on cancer. Vaccines is another one of our focuses. We have a very large vaccines portfolio. It is one of the one areas that we have actually spent much of our time from a medicine perspective. In fact, for those that don't know, if you've taken the MMR, we were the originators of the MMR vaccine. Vaccines help prevent 30 plus infections across the infectious diseases worldwide, and we make 11 of those, 11 of the 17 diseases on the CDC recommended immunization schedules. If to give you a breath, we make over 190 million doses around the world, is what we distributed in 2019. Obviously, this is pre-COVID, but at that time for vaccines. The other area that we focus on is hospital specialty and chronic care. So we have a good portfolio around HIV disease prevention, around other diabetes and cardiovascular disease. Januvia is another one of those kind of medicines. If you have any parents or grandparents or that have type 2 diabetes, and we've spent a significant amount committing ourselves to research around HIV, 35 years, and we have over 40 plus investigator-initiated antimicrobial stewardship programs, really looking at that space as well. Maybe many of you are asking is where we are in COVID, and recognizing that we continue to invest in both the vaccines and anti-infective medicines. So we really have been focusing on and committing to be a part of getting over COVID, especially the pandemic. And one of the areas is around not just is around actually providing medications that help to treat COVID, and has recently gone through the trials and is going towards being provided. And animal health is a focus of ours. So we do have a whole division around animal health. And just to give you some numbers here, right? We have over 50%. We know that over 50% of families own at least one pet or an animal. And realizing that it's not just about pets, but it's about the livestock and it's about food supply. And with our medications, we make sure that we are improving the health of our pets and livestock. And therefore, thinking about it, 2 billion people is where we're going to be in 2015, I believe, in the U.S. And to feed them, it requires that our livestock and our food supply continues to be sustainable and healthy. Another very big area of, I'm sorry, the last slide, I made a mistake. What that meant to say is that by 2050, our population around the world will increase by 2 billion people. So we have 7 billion people in the world now, and you have to realize that we're going to increase that by 2 billion. Apologies for the mistake. Corporate responsibility is something that we take very seriously as well. So we're not just a company around, making medications, but we also take our role in making sure that we are doing what we can to better the health and better the access to health through many different philanthropic initiatives. We continue to partner with major programs to help provide patient programs for access to our medications. We also are looking to continue creating environmental sustainability, such as in water. We've reduced our footprint around this of 18% of our water use reduction. We have many programs around philanthropy in the company, and all of the employees are encouraged to continue to participate there. We also take ethics and transparency very seriously. All of us are required to be trained and continue to maintain that code of conduct. And finally, something that hopefully is interesting to all of you is that 32% of our executive roles in our company are held by women. And so we do take equal opportunity and continuing to create equity across the company very, very importantly. So a little bit about information technology, like how does that work in our company? Realizing that we are a healthcare or biotech, a healthcare company first, our IT team is really looking to do whatever we can to really help make sure the entire company can gain that vision or get to that mission and vision. So some of the things that we are very much a part of is how do we help to scientists to effectively and efficiently discover life-saving medicines. Our technologies are embedded inside of our research environments and inside of our labs in order to really create that effective and efficient way for scientists to work. How do we continue to gather data around our clinical trials? Data is becoming the currency and the top currency for all companies. And it is so important that we are able to get that data actively and passively so we can make better decisions and we can actually go after things that matter. How do we streamline our supply and distribution channels? How do we make sure that we know we're creating effective ways of flow of our products, our logistics? How do we make sure that our customers know what they're getting and make sure that we're working really super well with all of the distribution channels to get our medicines effectively across the world? How do we help doctors engage and enhance their engagement with patients? What can we do potentially to really, in the world of digital health, as COVID hit, everybody knows, how could we potentially do things to make sure that doctors are able to talk to their patients, even if they're not able to be in their office? And what can we do to actually make that enhancement and the engagement with doctors better? And how do we use digital solutions to better meet animal health, so customers' needs? So just as importantly, human health, making sure that pet owners and farmers and those that are dealing with our food supply are able to have the digital solutions at hand to be able to get to what they need as well. And so part of that, we have many, many, many different roles and areas within IT that we need people to focus on. A couple of these things hopefully resonate. We are very much moving quickly towards agile and transforming the way we work in an agile way so that all of our areas are working towards creating those small but impactful areas of outcomes and increments quicker. We are working very diligently towards going to a cloud environment, so we have elasticity and we have better machine power through our providers. We continue to look at enterprise architecture, meaning that we have an overall way of working across the organization, and that we are architecting solutions so they work hand in hand across the entire spectrum of the company so that data can flow, as well as creating efficiency in how we are architecting our platforms so that we can create services through platform and products. Data analytics is becoming super important. Everyone's hearing about data science. Everyone's hearing about the need for to mine data to be able to really get those insights needed. cybersecurity through IT risk management, continuing to make sure that we create protected and safe environments, and that we protect our patients, our payers, our providers, and the data that we have, both internally and from what we may gain outside. And other things like network engineering, which really is the hub and the infrastructure by how we have all of our hardware and our infrastructure flowing. Robotics and process automation to really create those efficiencies across the company so that we can take the manual and the person out of things that can potentially be automated to create more efficient and strategic uses of human time. Software development continues to be a cornerstone of IT, in which we really make sure that we have people who can continue to understand and develop the right software, especially in areas that we may not have packaged software to deliver, and we need to really be best in class. We are making strides also in UX, where user experience, so that we are creating solutions and end-to-end overall products, IT products that are usable, efficient, intuitive, delightful, externally and internally, really, so that they really hit the business and overall impact that we're trying to hit. And this is just a smattering and a very high level view of just some of the areas. There's so many more roles and so many more areas, even if we could take one level down, that IT is part of. To talk a little bit about our emerging talent program, it's really for our students and graduates, grad students across our schools. Rutgers is a core school for Merck, for IT at Merck, and we do recruit in the fall and sometimes in the spring through Handshake and through Career Services for our IT emerging talent program. What we are looking for, we're really looking for those talented students and grads who really have a passion for technology, but also a passion for healthcare. And we want those that people who can communicate, work in teams, and who are driven by those results. We have three main hubs in US, Prague, and Singapore, and this talent program actually spans across all three. And the people are expected to work in teams with professionals who are there full time. And really, again, it's really about people who have that passion for technology, but more importantly, just as importantly, passion for healthcare. A little bit of a dissection here, just so you know. We have two types of programs that exist inside of the Emerging Talent Program. Those for interns, and then internships is over the summer. It's a 9 to 12 week professional development internship. It's about students learning about how IT works at Merck, and also learning Merck. And it is a program that allows you to actually work at the company. We put all of our interns on projects or on products or in teams that are creating some value of work. This isn't a admin role or anything of that nature. You actually do get a chance to use your skills to learn about how IT works and actually participate in that. It is also important to know that it's a gateway for our emerging talent rotational program, full-time program. So we recruit in after the internships or during the summertime from that pool into our full-time opportunity for those graduating seniors. So juniors who are going to be graduating seniors the following year, and we get a significant amount of our full-time program members from our internship. So those on the phone, if you're interested, if you're deciding if you're going to be a junior this year and you're deciding on whether or not to apply, if you're going to be a junior next year and you're looking to decide to apply whether or not you would want to work at Merck full time, one of the best ways to get in is to actually be an intern at Merck in your junior year. Our full-time program is a rotational program. This is a program in which over 2 years, we have 3 IT rotational roles. And you might be like, well, why would you do that? And part of the reason is to be able to give you a breadth of experience across the entire organization, entire company. So you really can hone in on what it is that you want to do once you graduate from the program. And it's robust. It can come through many different areas. Both of these programs are with cohorts. We basically bring people together and you learn to almost have a class of people that you work with. In many cases, the interns and the full-times become really great friends because you're really working together and you're also having experiences, presentations and time with leadership and such together. Um, yeah, this is okay. I put this, I put this in here just so if you had any question about what are we looking for, really looking for the science, the STEM with some business and computer science, bachelor's or master's. For ETRs, we're looking for an internship. So we are looking for our, the ETR programs, a full-time program, people to have at least one internship in a STEM field. In some cases, we are looking for people who are willing to relocate. So if you're looking to only stay in one place, like in New Jersey, central New Jersey, that may or may not work. But we are looking for people who are willing to potentially relocate. It's very important to know that all of our interns in the US and ETRs do require you to be a US citizen, lawful permanent residence, or otherwise authorized in the US without requiring sponsorship now or in the future. And for interns, really we are focusing on students. So it does mean that you need to be either in a enrolled Bachelor of Science or Bachelor of Arts program or a master's student. So we don't look for um, uh, graduated students who have already graduated into our internship program. We do expect that they will be in school. And that's it. Three things that you can do. One, if you want to learn more about the Emerging Talent Program, definitely visit jobs.merck.com/ETR. That will give you some more information. Career services, we work with career services in the fall again in order to recruit. And this is really the best way at Rutgers for us, in IT to really get into the programs or at least be considered for interview. And there are many ways to do this, and I cannot stress enough. We do attend the career fairs. We do have info sessions. We do things like this. Getting for us to know you really helps. So in participating in events is a great idea. Even in the spring when we may not necessarily be recruiting just yet until the next fall, getting to know who you are is a great thing. And we have many different members of the recruiting team who continue to be a part of Rutgers, the Rutgers campus. And then finally, for you, continue to work on interviewing, continue to build out your resume, so that when it is time, when we do meet you, we're seeing the best of you. And that really always helps. And we are very happy to do what we can to continue to be a part of the student organizations and part of career services so we can give you that insight. So that's it. That's what I had. Ellie, why don't I hand it back over to you? Unless I'm assuming we're not taking questions yet. I'm assuming we're going to take that.
No, we're going to switch to Vicky.
Great. Thank you.
Now the real tech talk starts, huh?
Gopi, I'm sorry that was so boring.
Are you able to present, Vicky?
Hang on a second. I guess that means you can't see my screen right now.
Not yet.
Okay. It says I'm sharing.
Okay.
Share. Oh, hang on a second. I have a Mac, so it's asking me to grant permission. Hold on a second.
So I think if you
try.
switch it over, if maybe you can come back. If Ellie, you are ready to go, why can't you go? It's just
let me just
26 minutes in. Probably have 24 minutes. Hopefully.
Can you see my PowerPoint?
Okay.
Yep.
You can. All right. All right. Let me just get to the right slide quickly. Okay. So my name is Ellie Norris, and I'm part of the Development Engineering Organization within the Merck Research Labs IT division. I will present 3 introductory slides related to our tech sampler, beginning with this one. which illustrates the 4 industrial revolutions. The first industrial revolution, which began in 1760, changed the whole concept of manufacturing through mechanization and steam power. The second one, which began in the mid-19th century, enabled a giant step in production efficiency when mass production assembly lines and electrical energy took place. The third one, beginning in 1970, brought automation, computers, and robots to production. And currently, we are in the early part of the fourth industrial revolution, which focuses on autonomous systems, interconnectivity, machine learning, and real-time data in order to automate traditional manufacturing. Next, we have a timeline of 6 female pioneers in computer science across all 4 industrial revolutions. There's a link at the bottom of the slide if you'd like to learn more, but I will call out Margaret Hamilton in the middle. Margaret led the NASA software team that landed the Apollo and its astronauts on the moon in 1969, which is very relevant given this week's rover landing on Mars. She was the director of the software engineering division of the MIT Instrumentation Lab, which developed the onboard flight software that was optimized to deal with unknown problems and to interrupt one task to take on a more important one. In these photos, she is standing beside listings of the software. The core focus of our tech talk is to provide you with an overview of 3 technologies that are leveraged by our manufacturing division. It's indirectly related to our company challenge pertaining to COVID-19 vaccine visualizations due to the ongoing vaccine production efforts in manufacturing plants around the world. And we have presenters among 3 of Merck's IT divisions, beginning with Vicki Wild, who will present Robotic Process Automation, followed by my computer vision presentation, and Emily D'Elia, who will cover Augmented Reality. So now I will give the floor to Vicki from our Foundational Automation Group, and I can drive this, Vicki, if you don't mind.
Okay. Oh, I think I got things up and running, but okay. That works for me too. All right. Okay. So thanks, Ellie. Thanks for the introduction. Like Ellie said, I am leading a team within the Foundational Automation Group here at Merck. We are about 100 people, including developers, business analysts, squad leads, and DevOps engineers. So we are a fairly large group and continually growing. So on the next slide, I'll just take you through what RPA is and how we're leveraging it to support the mission here at Merck. So RPA, a lot of times when I talk to our business clients who are all internal and working within different functions, I often have to tell them that it's software. It's not physical robots. These are software codes that we're programming to mimic the work that they're doing in their daily jobs. So the software interacts with either the computer user interface or with the backend API and replicates the tasks that you would be doing when you're working on your own computer, whether it be typing, clicking, or viewing. And sometimes we are using more advanced technologies like optical character recognition to start teaching our robots to look and not just to type. So what we like to think of this is our robots are acting as personal assistants to the researchers, the doctors, the marketeers, the manufacturers, so that they can shift from data input and data collection to more analysis and strategic thinking and also decision making. So this frees up our teams to focus on their efforts to save and improve lives and getting medicine to the people. So next slide. What automation does is it basically takes a human process and breaks it down into a series of steps. So over on the left-hand side, you can see a number of different things that you would do on your regular daily basis, whether it be logging into a program, dragging and dropping, copying, pasting, And basically anything that you would do using your mouse and your keyboard, we can program the robots to do. Over on the right-hand side, you actually see a UI path process flow. And what you're seeing is the steps that a robot would take to go from input data through a series of logical steps and commands, looking at true false statements and moving until it gets to a final output data. And this could be that it needs to log into a system, download some data, do a transformation, log into another system, and then upload that data. So it could be something simple like that, or the robot can also manage screen captures, image recognition, and complex data transformations in order to complete the work that you would be doing that might be tedious and repetitive and take a lot of time, but doesn't require a lot of brain power. What we don't want our robots to do is have to make any sort of decision that would require human judgment. If it's an easy true false statement, the robots are really good at completing a task. But if you need to think about it and make a decision based on additional information that the robot doesn't have, that's not a process that we would look to automate. On the next step, the next slide, we can take a look at this by stepping through what you'd see as a simple process, maybe receiving and paying an invoice, that it really isn't that simple. So if you click once, we should see that the process has a number of additional steps that you would need to consider when you're looking at automating the process. One more click will say maybe some of these processes require human thought. So we can't just approve every invoice. Someone might need to take a look at it and say, is this within our budget? Is this an allowed expense? But there are some automation steps that we could still layer in there. And every time that we take out some effort from our team members, they're able to reallocate that time into something that is more value add and requires higher thought processing rather than just clicking through and checking the data. So next slide. So I always like to share this with our business partners because the big concern is that we're making robots and we're going to take everyone's job. But that's not really the goal of automation here. The goal is to free up people to have more time to put in that thoughtful work. And we found that once we've started implementing automations, it actually improves the morale of our colleagues because they're not doing these simple and tedious work. They're able to do more exciting strategic thinking. I have a team in Spain that we built a robot for them about 6 months ago, and they all loved it so much they had a contest over the holidays to name the robot, and now the robot sends out personalized emails with its own name. So we've been having a lot of fun with it, and everyone's been starting to think of new processes. And automation is really helpful within the pharmaceutical industry because it's so heavily regulated. We need our data to be clean, consistent, and compliant. So what a robot can do is it does its job the same way every single time. It also does this without a human error and without any sort of human bias. So what we do is we actually have several bots that are GXP, and this is either good lab practice, good manufacturing practice, or good clinical practice. And that means that the data is handled in such a way that we can send it to the FDA and other regulators, and that we know that it is clean, it is without bias, and it's showing the true value of the data within the set. So I think next slide up, we'll just take a look at some of the automation platforms that you can utilize in the industry. So here at Merck, we create our RPA solutions with UiPath. And it's a very simple and straightforward program, and that you can utilize these reusable components by a drag and drop method, and then layer on top additional complex scripts to solve these more challenging issues. So this allows our builders or developers to quickly assemble a backbone framework for each automation. Additionally, you can use Blue Prism or Automation Anywhere. But I do like UiPath because there is a free training online. It's called like UiPath University or Academy or something. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about it, you can go learn for free and start building your own robots for yourself. So now I'd like to take you through a few of the use cases that we have. Here at Merck, we've built RPA solutions across all of our divisions. I lead the human health portfolio of automations, which means I work heavily with our sales and marketing colleagues. But we also have automations that support the research and manufacturing, all the way to sales and support. So our first example is actually within the animal health division. And I know when I started at Merck, I didn't realize there was an animal health division, but as Rakshi's told us, it's pretty important for people around the world that we support animal health. But one of our more positive and exciting automations here is the Home Again automation. And it's been developed in partnership with the Dallas Pet Shelter. And what it does is it actually intakes lost pet microchip identification information. So the pets that are lost, they come into the shelter, they're scanned. And unfortunately, the volunteers don't have a lot of time to make sure that they're finding and quickly reuniting the pets with their owners. So the automation reviews every single ticket every day, identifies the microchip ID, and syncs it up to the pet owner so that the pets are quickly reunited with their families. Currently, we've been found over 300 lost pets have been reunited very quickly with their families, and we're starting to expand this to other cities around the US. And our next example talks about vaccine safety. So this one, we've been hearing a lot about cold chain when it comes to vaccine supply chain. So this is really true in the fact that vaccines need to be maintained in a cold chain. And in order to do this, they need to stay within a certain temperature window to maintain their optimal efficacy. So this call center automation reviews and audits the daily calls to ensure that our vaccines are remaining safe and effective for the patients. These so-called temperature excursions, which sounds a lot more exciting than it is, just means that the vaccine shifts it outside of its window. They're all identified and then flagged to ensure that the vaccines are removed from the vaccination site. And then the last example I'll share real quick is a bit more about how our capabilities are continuing to evolve here at Merck. The foundational automation team has actually only been in existence for about 18 months, and we have over 100 bots that are saving about 200,000 human hours across the organization. But now we're starting to partner across other teams in the IT organizations and upgrading our automations to interact with advanced technologies. So by integrating our automations with our customer-facing chatbots, we're able to not only answer questions rapidly, but also to elevate and react to safety concerns very quickly. And this allows us to connect patients to the right Merck healthcare professionals. So I think that's all I have. That's my last slide. And I will hand it back to Ellie. Thanks.
Okay, I've just unmuted. Hopefully you can all hear me. So again, I'm part of Merck Research Labs IT engineering organization. I've been on LinkedIn for many years, and I was very, very recently inspired to join Twitter. Feel free to connect with me through either. All right, there we go. So let's begin with what is computer vision? Computer vision, which I will refer to as CV, is an interdisciplinary field that aims to gain a high-level understanding from digital images or videos by processing them in order to extract, analyze, and interpret them. Recent applications of CV include medical image analysis, facial recognition, surveillance, and pollution monitoring. There is a distinction between computer vision and machine vision. Machine vision came first and uses a camera to view an image, which allows it to mechanically see objects. However, computer vision algorithms take it further by processing and interpreting an image or video before instructing other components in the system to act upon that data. It's more useful for identifying, predicting, and observing trends, and analyzing large numbers of variables. One analogy is to think of machine vision as the body of a system and computer vision as the eye, brain, and central nervous system. Beyond photos and videos, CV can also work on thermal images, infrared sensors, and motion detectors. Each image that a computer sees corresponds to a two-dimensional representation of the 3D world made up of multiple pixels. A pixel, or picture element, is the smallest addressable element of an image and forms a dot of a particular color. When combined, these pixels make up an image. These colors are represented by several color models, including RGB, which represents the three colors of red, green, and blue, with a value from 0 to 255 to represent the intensity. A computer sees an array of numbers, and computer vision allows it to recognize patterns from these numbers and extract information. Next, I have an introductory slide on machine learning before I explain the relationship between machine learning and computer vision in a moment. The diagram here first compares software engineering or traditional programming with machine learning. Software engineering is the art of automating a task by writing rules for a computer to follow, while machine learning automates the task of writing the rules. Software engineering involves formulating a very precise program to produce the required results. In contrast, developing a machine learning application is an iterative and explorative process, as machine learning is applied to problems that are too challenging for humans to figure out. ML requires collecting input data and desired output values. This data, combined with an algorithm, finds a program that computes an output for each input. This program is then used to make predictions about new data. Therefore, in order for the program to perform well, there must be sufficient and high quality data to serve as the fuel. So what is the relationship among artificial intelligence, machine learning, and computer vision? AI is defined by the ability of a digital computer or computer-controlled robot to perform tasks among commonly associated with intelligent beings. Machine learning is a subfield of AI, which again refers to the ability of a machine to learn using large data sets instead of hard-coded rules. Deep learning is a machine learning method which uses algorithms based on artificial neural networks, as these neural networks are much better suited for image and speech recognition and natural language processing. And today, a convolutional neural network is one type of algorithm that is used by computer vision due to its ability to extract features from images. However, computer vision has a surprising history going back to the late 1800s, when object character recognition was used to develop a reading machine for the blind. And I'm going to shorten the voiceover for this in the interest of time. In 1966, a formal initiative at MIT, known as the Summer Vision Project, aimed to construct a significant part of a visual system in order to develop pattern recognition in images. But it turned out that the problem was much too complex to be solved in one summer. It's actually been in a constant evolution for almost 60 years since then. Lastly, 15 years ago, the Pascal Visual Object Classes project was launched, which provided a standardized data set for object classification. This project also ran a competition from 2006 to 2012 to evaluate performance of the different methods used for object class recognition. And it was this Pascal VOC competition which inspired the much larger scale ImageNet project. The computer scientist Fei Li began ImageNet in 2006 in order to expand and improve the data available to train AI algorithms. ImageNet is a visual database with over 14 million hand annotated images designed to continue the research on visual object recognition. Their annual competition was named the ImageNet Large-Scale Visual Recognition Challenge, and it took place between 2010 and 2017 before Kaggle took it over. During the third year of ImageNet's challenge, in 2012, a seismic shift occurred. A team from the University of Toronto entered into the competition a convolutional neural network by the name of AlexNet, which was named after the first author, Alex Krizhevsky. They won and beat the runner-up by 10% lower error rate for their machine learning model, which came quite close to human level accuracy. A key to their success was the usage of graphic processing units to train the models. GPUs are used for video cards, and although CPUs may perform operations faster, GPUs can do many more operations at the same time. And as you can see on the right-hand side, 3 teams were able to beat the human performance level between 2015 and 2017 by leveraging GPUs, which have become an essential ingredient of the deep learning revolution. The next 2 slides will describe convolutional neural networks. A CNN is a deep learning algorithm based on artificial neural networks, which takes an input as an image made up of a matrix of pixel values. It then assigns weights and biases to objects within an image in order to differentiate them. The concept behind AlexNet was actually a variant of another CNN created in 1989 by Jan LeCun, who was considered one of its founding fathers. The architecture of a CNN is quite intricate, but its role is to reduce the images into a form which is easier to process without losing features that are critical for getting a good prediction. A CNN has 3 main layers which are used to first identify the edges of an image, followed by the textures, patterns, object parts, and full objects in order to infer the class of the input image. In the example at the bottom, the CNN sought to differentiate a truck, van, car, and bus based on the provided input image of the van. Here we've listed major tools in computer vision, although it's not exhaustive and will likely change throughout the year. It includes frameworks, libraries, abstractions on libraries, and APIs. Some are open source, while others are commercial. The levels of involvement for a machine learning engineer or data scientist vary significantly here, starting with the most hands-on work and expertise at the top for the frameworks and libraries, and ending with commercial APIs, which require a lower investment of time due to the vendor's built-in expertise. The final 2 slides on computer vision describe use cases in pharma manufacturing regarding the improvement of productivity and safety. Human-made errors are always a risk in the drug manufacturing process, and therefore these processes require visual inspection to minimize the defects and flaws. Computer vision for quality control is slowly becoming a reliable alternative to traditional operations due to its ability to identify drug packaging and medicine manufacturing defects on the production line. And although I can't go into any details at this time, Merck has done some innovative work pertaining to computer vision in order to support manufacturing testing. This work may be formally published later in the year. Computer vision may also be applied to the protection of staff members within a manufacturing plant through the usage of personal protective equipment, known as PPE, which has probably been the second most popular acronym of the year. Different types of PPE, including clothing and accessories, are designed to protect the staff from workplace hazards, such as chemicals in manufacturing plants. And visual inspection by supervisors may not be comprehensive and frequent enough to ensure safety requirements are followed. Video streams may be leveraged by an autonomous CV monitoring system to detect these PPE violations in real time and alert the designated personnel with the objective of reducing accidents by increasing compliance. And this concludes the computer vision overview. So I will now turn it over to Emily, who will present slides on augmented reality.
Thanks, Ellie. Do you mind just keeping the slides up in the interest of time?
Yes.
Great. Okay. Well, not to waste any time, as Ellie mentioned before, my name is Emily Dalia. I am currently in the Merck Manufacturing IT division in a group called Extended Reality. And I'm also a member of the Emerging Talent Rotational Program that Rashi had mentioned earlier before. So if you have any questions about my experience, please feel free to send me a DM on Slack, because I'd love to talk and share more. And I just want to shout out the HackHERS planning team, because I think this is an awesome event and I'm honored to be a part and to share about augmented reality and how Merck uses it in pharma manufacturing. So what is augmented reality? Augmented reality transforms an environment into a digital interface. It takes your real life surroundings and enhances them with computer generated images. A lot of people are familiar with its sister technology, VR, sister, cousin, I don't know, but VR immerses the user completely into a computer generated world, whereas augmented reality integrates computer generated items into the user's physical environment. I think we often think about the visual components of AR or augmented reality, but in reality, the augmented reality can exist across multiple sensory modalities. And in fact, the first recorded use of AR was in 1957 when Morton Heelig invented the Sensorama, which on this tiny poster you can see is marketed as a revolutionary motion picture system that has visual, auditory, vibrational, and olfactory components. Next slide, please. So the technology has obviously come a long way since 1957, and it can be classified into two different components. One is hardware and one is software. So the input comes in from one or more sensors in the hardware and captures data from the real world around us. That data is acquired and processed. And the data is interpreted by the software, and as well as virtual components being integrated, and the output comes through a display where the real object and virtual object are combined to create an augmented reality. And while we often associate the hardware with something like a smart glasses, which is certainly valid, as you can see, the HoloLens, Microsoft HoloLens is pictured here. Augmented reality can also be implemented with something as simple as a smart tablet or smartphone. And there have been several software development kits made available to make augmented reality easier. So two examples are AR Kit and AR Core. Next slide, please. So augmented reality is really integrated into many industries today. I know earlier this morning, one was mentioned, perhaps one of my favorites, which is Pokemon Go, which falls into the entertainment industry, where you can use your smartphone or tablet to hunt down Pokemon, and you can see like a Squirtle in your backyard, which is pretty cool. I see we have some fans in the chat here. And another example is in healthcare. This is a really awesome example. Neurosurgeons use models of the brain as a hologram generated, and and they use the brain as a model as they're doing neurosurgery and working on a patient's brain, so they can understand the geography and spatial aspects of the brain they're operating on. So it's really incredible how it's used today. But let's talk about how AR is used in pharma manufacturing. Next slide, please. So we'll talk through two use cases today, and I'll just get into it. So imagine an operator at a manufacturing plant in New Jersey notices that a machine malfunctions. The subject matter expert on the machine lives in Tokyo, Japan. He'll have to book travel and lodging accommodations as soon as possible to help fix the machine, and it'll take him 14 hours to arrive to New Jersey. Until then, the machine cannot be used. So you can see there's a variety of problems that come with this scenario. One is that the subject matter expert has to book last-minute travel and lodging, which we know probably won't be inexpensive, especially if it's an international travel. Two is that we'll have to put things on pause for 14 hours. And three, this means that production at this factory will not be at 100%. Can you hit next, please? So how does augmented reality come in here? So the operator can wear a pair of hands-free AR glasses, and this means that the subject matter expert can watch a live feed from Tokyo or wherever he's located. He can view the machine just as if he were standing next to the operator, because the operator is giving him his literal perspective. He can easily identify the problem and is able to guide the operator, and can even draw arrows and lines to specific parts to allow the operator to successfully fix the machine. So this is a very real use case, and you can imagine that in the last year with COVID restrictions on who's allowed on site, this problem has come up a lot, and has also enabled this technology to kind of explode at our company. Next slide, please. So the second use case I'll quickly go through is in a manufacturing lab. A scientist needs to complete a really specific procedure and has to follow a standard operating procedure, which lists all of the steps. The method involves using special lab equipment, and the scientist struggles to go between referring to the SOP for the specific instructions and completing the task. When she's almost done, she realizes that she forgot to do step 3, and so unfortunately the scientist has to take a new sample and repeat the process over again. So you can imagine that due to this error, time and product were unfortunately wasted. So how could AR help? Next, please. The scientist can wear a pair of AR goggles, which can project each step as a hologram in her environment as she goes through the procedure. So because she's able to refer to the process step by step as she completes the tasks associated, her chances of making an error decrease, and mistakes can more easily be recognized and fixed as they happen. Next slide, please. So that use case is actually really relevant to Merck. In 2017, Merck scientists used the Microsoft HoloLens as a way to refer to documentation as they conducted certain procedures. And in fact, Gopi, who's on this call, was involved with this proof of concept. Merck IT and scientists took this a step further by developing a voice-enabled AR holobot, which created a fully hands-free way to access important documentation as opposed to using their hands to generate or bring up the information using the HoloLens. Now they could do a voice-activated way to pull up the procedure. And you can imagine that since 2017, this technology has really developed and exploded at Merck. Next slide, please. So to conclude, augmented reality in pharma manufacturing increases efficiency, safety, and collaboration. This technology enables collaboration from anywhere in the world. Today, over 70 Merck sites are using this technology. It increases safety and reduces errors. Pilots that have been done at Merck have found that human error rates were reduced by 40%. This also, as we could see in the first example, reduces the time to troubleshooting. Over 53,500 hours in travel time were saved at Merck last year alone. And lastly, AR in pharma manufacturing has the potential to save costs attributed to travel and production. One case study found that the use of AR at a pharma company's manufacturing capability had the potential to reduce costs, or had the potential to create cost savings of $27 million per factory. So as you can see, there's a lot of benefits, and this is a really incredible technology and fun technology to implement in pharma manufacturing. Thank you so much for listening. I kind of sped through that, so I apologize, but if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on Slack. Thank you.
And we know we're out of time. There are a couple of slides that compare and contrast these technologies, so feel free to review them in your own time and ask any questions on the Slack channel. I also wanted to mention that we couldn't mention any specific computer vision use cases at Merck due to intellectual property concerns, but there are quite a few, and perhaps next year we'll be able to share them with you. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Excellent job. See you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.